Welcome to AKA News. The next production is sponsored by the Kenneth Ching Foundation. Welcome to your 20th to 21st century's news. Today we will be covering from 1945 to the present. Stay tuned.
The Cold War began in 1945, and as a result of this, two alliances were created. An alliance between the US and Western Europe called NATO, and an alliance between the USSR and Eastern Europe called the Warsaw Pact. Most countries under colonial control broke off from their colonial powers as a part of a mass decolonization event. In Africa, almost all nations became independent. India, under Gandhi, broke apart from colonial British rule. Now, for the elephant in the room, the Cold War. The Cold War was an indirect war between the two global superpowers, the USA and the USSR. Because the two countries were locked in a nuclear arms race, they both knew that an actual conflict directly between them would bring about the end of the world, or at least something very close to it. So they instigated many proxy wars across the world, each supporting their own political ideology: democracy versus communism.
Here in the red corner, allied with the Soviets, is North Korea, and in the blue corner, the South backed by the USA. This time the North attacked first, and the war ended in a draw, and the 38th parallel line was drawn as the boundary line between them. To this day, this line still represents a hostile separation between the two inhabitants of the Korean Peninsula. The Vietnam War is one of the most infamous proxy wars. In the red corner was Soviet-backed North Korea with the Viet Cong. In the blue corner, the South, where our troops fought hard, but unfortunately, because of home field advantage, the communists won in the North. In the Afghan War, a communist regime was started in Afghanistan, and the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in order to support the Communist Party. Starting very strong, the war on the Soviet side was very unpopular and costly among the Soviet people, and resulted in an embarrassing Soviet defeat and the rise of the Taliban and instability in Afghanistan. China's industrial and agricultural industries greatly improved under Mao Zedong's Great Leap Forward policy. The new policy completely changed China's economy, causing industry to move to the rural countryside compared to huge booming urban cities. Furthermore, immediately following this was one of the largest and most devastating famines in history and widespread poverty, which was caused by the explosive Chinese population. The famine killed over 20 million people and is marked in history as the world's largest famine. With that being said, the Great Leap Forward put China on the global scale for manufacturing. The program greatly modernized China's infrastructure. While some may view this leap as overwhelmingly negative, it was also essential for China to modernize and put it where they are today on the global stage.
Breaking news: the Soviets are trying to get you. As many of you know, the Soviets have successfully developed nuclear bombs, which put the very fate of the United States at risk. Our intelligence now says that missile silos, launch equipment, and bases have been spied by our spy planes flying over Cuba. We suspect that in the coming months, the Soviets will try these nuclear weapons on the Americas. With Cuba being just 90 miles away from Florida, our precious coasts, hopefully this scary situation can be dealt peacefully.
This obviously proves a severe threat to the United States, and that's why we give you our sponsor, MIRA Safety. For the low price of $20, you can protect yourself from the dangers of a potential fallout with the new and improved MIRA CM7M gas mask. This mask will protect you and your family from radiation, gaseous weapons, and disease. Use code NukesInCuba62 for a 25% discount. That's NukesInCuba62, all capitals.
Long ago, our automobiles used to run off steam and springs. Now, with our combustion engines, you can drive even faster and more efficiently than ever. But where do you get your fuel? How are we going to power these luxurious machines? We now introduce to you opening in 50 different locations all over the nation, Shell gas stations. Far off in the Middle East, our friendly partners over in the countries that once compromised the Ottoman Empire have found oil and graciously gave it to us. Now, with our relationship to the oil producing countries, we have an abundance of Middle Eastern oil in the U.S. Nowadays, everyone ought to have a car. Go to your nearest Shell gas station today.
The hopping 80s, a time of disco, freedom, and the birth of a new world. Not only were new cultures created, but freedom was achieved in many regions across the world. The fall of the Berlin Wall was one of the most memorable ways to show this new wave of freedom, which ultimately led to the collapse of the USSR under the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev. We have a guest performance. Prince.
People always told me, be careful what you do. Don't go around breaking young girls' hearts.
Breaking news. The World Trade Center towers are currently spewing black smoke. As many of you know, the towers were home to the world's international trade. We are getting word that Osama bin Laden and his Al-Qaeda planned and executed the attacks. For many that don't know, Al-Qaeda is an extreme Sunni Islam terrorist group founded in 1988. The attack on the World Trade Centers was their most widely known attack, but they had several other attacks, such as the Madrid train bombing, which happened in 2004, which ultimately ended up killing roughly 190 people.
Throughout the 20th through 21st century, there has been constant innovations in medical care, such as new medicines like antibiotics, allergy, or pain relief. Furthermore, new medical technologies such as organ transplants, imaging, and x-rays have overall led to longer life expectancies and less infant mortality rates. Now let's look at our live reporter at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota overlooking an operation.
Here we are now watching over a life-saving heart surgery where our doctor here, Dr. Woodring, is currently performing the first ever open heart surgery.
Thank you for watching.